everyone, this is Jeremy Tallman, and I serve as President and Managing Broker for T&H Realty Services. You know, Indianapolis is a city that many investors have decided to invest because we're considered a cash flow market. You know, we're not a market like maybe some coastal cities out there that see huge increases of value, but we're considered to be a very stable market that produces cash flow. So, you know, a common question we receive from investors that are new to our areas, you know, how much cash flow can I expect in Indianapolis? Generally, investors that we work with expect and want around $200 to $300 of positive cash flow each month for single-family homes. Calculating cash flow is one of the more important and basic calculations you can use to evaluate real estate. It's basically just understanding two big buckets: income and expenses. Simply put, cash flow is total income less your total expenses. And that sounds easy, right? Well, it should be if you have a good grasp on both your income and expenses. Let's start with income. Let's say you purchase a single-family home that'll rent for, let's say, $1,200 a month. Also assume that there's no other forms of income out there for you like you might have in a multifamily where you get laundry income, for example. So your total income for that property is $1,200 a month. Pretty simple. Now, expenses can be difficult to understand because there's so many out there to consider. Some expenses could be your mortgage, property tax, crisis maintenance, preventative maintenance, property management fees, reserves for capital improvements, vacancy, city registration fees, utility fees that could be your responsibility, HOA fees. There's just a lot of expenses out there that you need to consider. So, and you know, if you choose to self-manage your home, you can have other expenses in there as well. For example, you're probably going to have attorney's fees because you need an attorney to create a very solid lease for you, and then you'll may need to consult that attorney on an ongoing basis when landlord-tenant issues arise. You're going to have advertising fees that you may not have if you employ a property manager. You're going to spend money on fuel to show the home and to make property visits, postage, just things like that that you need to account for. And since all situations may vary a little bit, I'll just go right to the bottom line and say your expenses for a given month will be that you budget $925. So your cash flow in this scenario is simply the $1,200 less than $925, which is $275 of cash flow. So clearly there are some factors you need to consider when assessing your cash flow. First is you must always budget for vacancy. Vacancy will happen for you. Most models out there, experts feel like 5% on single-family homes is a good number to use for vacancy. I like to push that maybe to 10% just to be conservative. You know, it's very important to minimize your vacancy because vacancy in single-family homes is a cash flow killer. You want to avoid the 1 year and out type scenario tenants and do your best to keep that tenant happy, keep them renewing so your cash flow continues. Secondly, cash flow will not be evenly distributed. When we say that investors here in Indianapolis expect $200 to $300 a month in positive cash flow, we don't mean every single month. You know, for example, there could be some months where you have no maintenance at all and your cash flow could be higher for a given month. But then that next month you could have a, you know, say a $700 furnace repair. That could, you know, zap all your cash flow, put you into a negative situation for that month. Generally speaking, we feel like you need to budget 10 to 15% of your income toward maintenance costs for a newer home in relatively good condition. For older homes, we may suggest you budget as high as 20% or even higher in very old homes. Number three, err on the side of caution. Once you set up your budget, I suggest adding maybe a 10% expense line as a fudge factor just to account for those unexpected expenses that are almost inevitably going to hit you over time. If you don't use that money, I suggest putting into your reserve account, and you can use that for to help pay unexpected expenses down the road or for capital improvements you want to make to that house. Number four, cash flow is just one analysis. Clearly it's an important analysis, but it doesn't take into account several key components that are important to real estate, such as loan paydown, market appreciation, tax benefits. So in conclusion, you know, I've linked to a really nice cash flow calculator out here in this blog, and there's also a table out there that'll kind of give you a basics for what you should budget for maintenance depending on your property and vacancy depending on your property that I think you'll find very helpful. Again, this is Jeremy Tallman with T&H Realty Services. If you have any questions about cash flow or investing in the Central Indiana market in general, please don't hesitate to contact us, and thanks for watching.